and welcome to Understanding Photography with Kim Ayres, episode 224. Yes, you'll have to excuse me again. The computer is still not working. Sorry. The computer is still potentially going to crash on me at any moment. It's already crashed twice today, so I'm hoping it won't happen in the middle of this. Anyway, yes, so here we are, absolutely live, which is why everything could go wildly wrong in the If it does, I'll try and keep you informed. Okay, let's make us. If you happen to be watching live, leave a comment, let me know you're here, and we'll make a start. Yes, so welcome, episode 224. Happy New Year, by the way. Yes, we finally actually managed to make it into 2025. I think there were quite a few of us who kind of wondered whether that would ever actually happen. However, yes, here we are. As mentioned last week, I do have a problem with my computer at the moment, and the person I'm hoping will be able to fix my computer isn't back on holidays for at least another week yet. So it might even be a problem next week as well. We'll just have to see. Hoping that this computer will survive long enough for the podcast at least. If it does all suddenly go blank and off, stick around. I will be trying to reconnect. If I can't reconnect, I will hopefully leave a comment somewhere for you. That brief noise a moment ago was my tablet. I forgot to turn the sound down. So I've got that open at the same time. So hopefully I can leave a message if anything goes wrong. Right, so yes, we are live, very obviously. So if you, leave a comment. Let me know what you're doing. Let me know if you have any plans for the new year or resolutions. Never entirely sure about resolutions. They always start off brilliantly and never really get anywhere. But get the chat going. It's always good to have the chat. If you happen to, like, you can always click the like, click the subscribe, all that kind of stuff okay, let's take a little look. I can see we've got people in already, and so let's get this started. Allow me to ground myself with a few comments. April says, greetings all from a sunny and cold Long Island, New York. Nadia says, hi from a cold and wet Fife. Sandra says, Happy New Year from a snow-covered Birmingham. Well, I will also just say here in Castle Douglas, there was snow when I woke up. It is sleeting at the moment, which means it's cold. It's as cold as it can get without actual proper snow. So the sleet is starting to melt the snow that's there, although it might freeze up again later. Viji says, good evening from Chennai. We're having pleasant weather today. And Janet says, hi from a chilly Mississauga. And Jacqui joins us from South Africa. Good to see you here again live. Jacqui, welcome. Well, of course, it's not the middle of winter there. It is, in fact, just past the summer solstice. So it must be heating up a bit for you there, Jacqui. Andy says, howdy all from a wet and cold Hertfordshire. Susan says, hi from a sleety Kakubri and a happy new year to all. I broke my arm yesterday. Oh no, that's terrible. I'm so sorry to hear that, Susan. No more comments today as typing is quite difficult. Well, that's completely understandable. If you can use a mouse to find an emoji every now and again. Sorry to hear that, Susan. Meg says hello everyone. John Harvey says good day from Ohio where we are awaiting 10 inches of snow. Wow, that's going to be a chunk. A few people wishing Susan all the best. Becca joins us all from a grey and damp air. She needs to take the decorations down later. Yes, we're at that point now of decorations coming down. We've taken down most of ours today as well. And I must admit the house is starting to look just a little bit bare and dull. I always tend to feel that Christmas would be best served if it was at the end of February. Because then there's usually about 2 months build up to Christmas. And what you want is all that in the middle of winter, in the middle of darkness, when everything's damp and cold. Unfortunately, what happens is Christmas comes, ends, and then the decorations get taken down. And now we've got 2 or 3 months of damp and cold. And it's just, now more than ever is the time we really need all the bright lights and the festivities. But hey, the calendar wasn't built around me. What else have we got here? More people saying hi to Jacqui and sympathies to Susan. Right, okay. So yes, here we are, a brand new year, 2025, and a brand new year for well, for the podcast as well. So we will carry on with Smug Points. Just a quick little reminder here of the Smug Points. And Viji won the accumulated year for Smug Points last throughout the whole of 2024 with an amazing total of 730 Smug Points, where April was second with 615. Robert in Texas was 590, and Susan was 545, with Nadia 535, and Janet in 520. So Smug Points accumulated across the year there, which is really quite impressive. So I'm going to carry on with the Smug Points. I'm not going to do the quarterly thing. I think I've decided I won't worry too much about the quarterly. I never really quite figured out what to do about the quarterly, but we will carry on with the monthly Smug Points. And the winner of December's monthly Smug Point accumulation was Nadia. So congratulations to Nadia. Nadia got 105 accumulated Smug Points across December, Viji on 95 and April on 75. So that means Nadia gets to choose a topic. Well, whether it's for a challenge, actually the topic she's chosen I don't think would make a great challenge as such, but it's still a topic she's very interested in. So I will be talking about that a little bit later. So stick around for that. So what are we going to be doing here? Oh, Marilyn's joined us as well. Says hello from a snowy Colorado. Welcome, Marilyn. And where are we? So yes. Today, episode 224, and we're doing the best of 2024. Lots of little similarity in numbers there if you happen to be into that kind of thing. So essentially what I asked everybody to do was send in their best or favourite photo of 2024. And we've had 14 people do this. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look through the images and kind of essentially this is a celebration of photography. I'm not going to be giving any critique or feedback as such on any of the photos. This is about a celebration of what people feel that has been their best photo. I mean, we're all photographers. We all have an interest in photography, and sometimes we get a bit stuck, and finding inspiration from other people is always a good thing. Sometimes we just want to kind of join in the wonder. I mean, I just love seeing how other people interpret the world with our camera. No two of us see the world in exactly the same way, and no two of us will use the camera in exactly the same way, and that's part of the fun of this. And what I've really come to grow and enjoy and love about these podcasts is that interaction. These podcasts are not just about me sitting here talking about photography. It's about you sending in the images, interacting with each other. Getting feedback on the images, exploring, asking questions, taking a look at what you've done, all this kind of stuff. This is what these podcasts are about, with the community that we've created around the Understanding Photography with Kim Ayres. So keep at it. Invite your friends along as well. You know, I'm sure you must know other photographers who you think would enjoy being a part of this community. So, okay, with that in mind, that's what this was about. Oh, Robert's joined us from Texas and says howdy all. Welcome, Robert. So what we're going to do then is, if I can go and click over here, we're going to work our way through what people have sent us as their best for 2024. And we're going to start with Susan. So Susan can take a look at this and not have to worry too much about typing because of her broken arm. And Susan says, with this is my favourite, this is my submission for my favourite image of 2024. It's certainly one of my favourite images from this year. Well, that was last year when she sent it. And did actually win a best image in my local camera club recently. It is one of a series of images I have done with the theme of little vases. And the tulip is one I've kept from spring of last year. I just love the texture of dead flowers. I did submit this one to you earlier last year. I thought I recognised it. But it remains one of my favourites of the year. The soft reflection below the individual petals is produced by placing them on a sheet of black vinyl, placed in my light box and lit from the side. And it is a beautiful, beautiful photo, this one. I'm not surprised that it won in the camera club there, Susan. Lovely texture, light, contrast, and composition as well. The way that it kind of curves around like this and the petals drop down. So as a kind of, and there's multiple ways you can interpret the idea of best or favourite photo. And we'll see a whole bunch of these across the course of the the podcast, because I talked before about the notion of that your best, you might decide that the best photo is your best because it's won prizes or it's won the most accolades from other people, or other people have just, maybe it's not won anything, but you've had a lot of really positive feedback from it. Or it might be something where you had to overcome, there was a real challenge for you. For me, the picture I put up as the kind of the card as such advertising this particular podcast was a picture of the aurora, which I've been chasing forever. Now, there are out there 1 million and plus photos of aurora which are far better than my one, but for me it was by far and away the best aurora photo I'd ever taken. And the whole story behind trying to get it, everything I had to do to get it, and all the rest of it, meant that it became very meaningful to me. So, as well as being an okay photo, for me, I put it up there as my favourite. And so we'll find that. We'll find that as we go through this episode too. What have we got? Marilyn says, lovely image, Susan. Viji says, what a shot. Sandra says, lovely still life, great textures. April says, the flower reminds me of a butterfly flying away from the vase. Nadia says, love this, Susan. Viji says, poetic, April. John says, very nice still life. Becca says, lovely still life, Susan. And Susan says, thanks all. Oh, and Adrian's joined us. Sorry, I'm late. No notification on my PC. Well, no idea. Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think you can click notifications on YouTube, but I don't know whether they send you things in advance or anything. But anyway, I'm glad you finally made it. Happy New Year, Adrian. Welcome. Right, okay, so what we will do now then is we will go next to Janet. And Janet sent in this one. Now, actually, a little thing with Janet, I did say to her, there was a little white triangle in the corner. She didn't know what I meant, so I will just have to say, if I drag this... now, hold on. I'll tell you what I'll have to do here. I'll minimise that, and if I drag this over here, you'll see just... Oh, not that one. Let's go back to here. Just trying to show Janet... that it's what happens with the... It's because I keep clicking on the wrong side. If you look over in the right, where are we? Right, now it's decided not to. There is just a little... I'm going to have to close this and open it again. So bear with me on this one. Right. If I click right in here and drag this over here, you might just see a little white corner down here. This, Janet, is what I was talking about. And I think what's happened is, as you've tilted and cropped, sometimes when you tilt and crop, the image ends up just creating a little bit of white background. So it's always worth just double checking on that. Okay, that aside, this is Janet's photo. Now, actually, she sent me two versions. There was this one and this one where there isn't a white bit, and it's been brightened up a little bit as well. And Janet says... I have attached my submission for the Best of 20 for 24 challenge. It was a difficult choice this year, especially as I had to rush to try and finish editing photos from my trip to British Columbia and the Yukon. I ended up choosing a simple shot of some grasses on a lake outside of Haines Junction, Yukon, Pine Lake. And there's always something beautiful about a fog and water. It's a kind of a almost perfect mix. If you can get fog and you can get water and then some kind of grasses or twigs or something like that, it becomes very ethereal, otherworldly, really. And whether it's this version of the picture or this version of the picture where there's a bit of background where we can see a little bit more of the fog and mist and a few more twigs, either of these, they are really moody, and I think yes, it's a great combination. So if you ever happen to, if next time you know you've got a foggy day, or you know you're going to get a foggy day and you're going to get a chance to go out with the camera, find a lake. And especially if there's not much wind and you end up with kind of silvery, mirror-like reflections, find a lake, a loch, a smooth bit of river, anywhere, or for that matter, even a large puddle will sometimes be interesting. It's perfect, ideal place for creating moody atmospheric photos. So thank you for sending that one in, Janet. And we have, where do we go? Oh, Adrian's saying, the notification came through on the phone but not on the PC, and Happy New Year to everyone. Andy says, lovely landscape. Sandra says, very atmospheric. Janet says, I see it now. April says, looks like a painting, very pretty. Adrian says, love this, Janet, nice. Marilyn says, love the moody atmosphere. Becca says, a very moody shot. Nadia says, it's a lovely minimalist shot. John says, fog makes beautiful photos. Nice shot, Janet. And Janet says, thanks. Viji says, painterly and minimalist shot. Right, okay, so next then we will move on to Nadia. And Nadia sent in this one. Now, when you're talking about the idea of best shot of 2024, I was kind of expecting people to sort of maybe pick out one that they took 3 months ago, 5 months ago, even 12 months ago, back at the beginning of the year. Nadia said, I was on my way home from the shops today when she sent me this one, which was the 29th of December. So best shot right there at the end of the year. When I saw this, and got my hubby to stop the car so I could get out and get the shot with my phone. I've done a crop and the remove tool to remove a small bit of stone pillar that was distracting in the bottom right of the corner. I also did a bit of little burning along the top edge to draw the eye back down to the light. So that's great. So in with the editing, so that the light gets drawn. And yes, this kind of thing, I know exactly that. I mean, I have a couple of photos kicking about somewhere where you're driving along and the light, in this case, the sunbeams just kind of pulling down from the sky, lighting up the water, backlight then hitting the edges of the hedgerow. It just feels absolutely amazing. So at some point you have to leap out of the car and then take the photo. If you've got your phone with you, you take the photo, and then even then it's still not doing it full justice. So when you get back home, the first thing you do is kind of just edit it up to try and make it look like the way it actually felt. And so a little bit of dodging and burning, a little bit of vignetting, taking out something awkward that was just distracting in the eye, and it's a nice way of editing it as well. So lovely photo there, really atmospheric, Nadia, and quite fun. I think the fact that you feel your best photo of the year was taken right at the end of the year there. So thank you very much for sending that one in. Right, where are we? Adrian, Marilyn says, beautiful. Adrian says, love this, Nadia. The sun streams very nice. Viji says, is that two different pictures? I guess you're probably are you talking about the previous one with the Janet's picture of the fog? I think it was the same picture, just cropped and edited slightly differently. April says, wow, very pretty. Sandra says, fantastic lighting of a beautiful landscape. Meg says, I really like the diagonal lines of the fence and the sunbeams coming down in the sky as well. John says, good eye for getting the shot. Viji says, such a beautiful shot, cinematic. And I think, yeah, and I think the power of that kind of, I mean, we've talked before about that idea of almost like the scavenger side as opposed to the hunter side or the farming side of photography, where recognising that there's something, just as you're driving along, recognising that there's an opportunity to take a photo is a key skill to develop. You know, very often we kind of only think of things after the event. So to be able to see it at the point that you're driving past, I think is great. Okay. Let's move on then. So the next photo we're going to go to, not that one, is John Harvey in Ohio sent in this amazingly colourful photo of hummingbird. And John says this is a violet sabrewing from the hummingbird family. Dave and Dave's Nature Park in Costa Rica. I took this on my recent trip to Costa Rica. It was a bird watcher's paradise. National Geographic and BBC Wildlife both use the facility a lot. I love the blurred background and the contrasting red flower. I used my new Nikon Z6.3 with a 500mm lens. Now, 500mm lens is exactly what you need to get a good bird shot like this, and the detail in it is just astonishingly beautiful. You know, all those feathers, all the little, you know, I mean, it's just. And the other great thing about a 500mm lens, as well as allowing you to really get in there, is it compresses your depth of field. The more zoom you have, the shallower your depth of field becomes, and as such, it allows the background to blur out quite nicely, even if you're on quite a narrow aperture. It will still tend to blur the background to a degree. So yes, beautifully caught there. A lovely colour scheme, really nicely coloured. So I can understand why you're particularly proud of that one, John. Thank you very much for sending that. Where are we? Oh, so Nadia was saying thank you to all. Becca says, wow, the colours are so vibrant. Marilyn says, gorgeous. April says, great catch, beautiful. Andy says, sharp, love the colours. Nadia says, wow, that's gorgeous. Sandra says, great wildlife shot. Adrian says, stunning. And Viji says, this is such a beautiful shot. Okay, let's move on then. So next up we have Robert. And Robert in Texas sent us this one. Rugby in full... full gear, full game. Robert says, I really didn't have spectacular photos this year. I suppose the best ones that I took were in January of a rugby match. This photo has gotten some good reviews at the Dallas Camera Club and Gulf State contests, so it is my best. So Robert sent in this one, and it's really full of texture. I mean, it's brutal. I mean, it's bodies, it's mud. Mouth guard looking like it could just pop out at any moment. You can kind of hear the grunts, you can smell the sweat and see the mud splashing about the place. Lots of texture in there. Yeah, it's very kind of atmospheric. And in fact, actually down there, there's a couple more faces looking quite brutal hidden down in there as well. I think I might want to actually have a little bit of fun and just draw some of those out slightly, because they kind of get lost a little bit first thing. But anyway, sorry, this is not a critique play. This is not a day of critique. This is a day of celebration, and it's a fun shot, and I can see why it's kind of grabbing the attention. So a nice one there, Robert. Thanks very much for sending that one in. Where are we? Adrian says, blimey, love the amount of detail. Marilyn says, great action shot. Andy says, love the drama in this, Robert. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Drama, dramatic, yes. April says, I like this shot in black and white. Great texture. Adrian says, you can feel the pain as well. Yeah. I spent a chunk of my childhood in Wales, and where rugby is absolutely the national game, and PE, physical education slot, we had to do rugby, and you had to go out into the rugby fields, and it didn't matter if it was sleeting or snowing or hail or wild winds. You're out there in your shorts. I don't have huge fond memories of playing rugby, it has to be said, but yes, so when I see a rugby shot, I do tend to almost literally feel the pain. It's true. Viji says, Robert, this one is unbelievable with such clarity and action. Sandra says, a great close-up of a rugby match. Becky says, can see all the mud. John says, I like the rugby shot. Nadia says, nice shot. And Robert says, thank you all. Right, next up then, we are going to go to Sandra. And Sandra has this rather incredible shot of water falling down, sunbeams coming through. We can see this walkway with a person standing on it. The great thing about the person standing on it is it really gives you that sense of scale. Otherwise, you wouldn't necessarily be entirely sure of just, but that person there in the light, looking up, all this coming down. And we can see a bit more of a walkway just up there behind the water gushing down in the sunlight there. And Sandra says, my photo for this challenge was taken back in January last year while I was on holiday in Mexico. I was on an excursion, and around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we came to what was referred to as a secret. Now, I'm going to guess the pronunciation here. I think it's a cenote or cenote, C-E-N-O-T-E. So I think it's a cenote. And that's, somebody can correct me if I've got the wrong pronunciation there. Now, a cenote, basically, I went and looked it up, and anyway, it's one of these great big kind of whole, well, we can see it's a cave. It's like where, you know, above land, you probably wouldn't even realise until you stepped on it and fell in. You know, you have a big kind of chasm opening and it drops down, and you've got all this kind of water underneath. I mean, and in fact, actually, if we look here, we can see all these stalactites hanging down as well. So I must admit, it does look absolutely incredible, and would love to go and see something like this. So deeply envious of you there, Sandra. Sandra goes on, the cenote was huge, and I started to walk down the many steps to reach the water when I spotted someone walking along the boardwalk just above the water. I quickly adjusted my camera settings and took some photos as they looked up into the light. The high contrast lighting made it very difficult to photograph. Even my eyes strolled with the high definition, the dynamic range. of it. So yeah, I can imagine that. I can imagine that, and your camera's not going to know where to focus, because that we can see there's a kind of bright light spot here where the sun is literally hitting the water down here as well, but then there's going to be all the dark in the shadows as well. So trying to get so I think you did an amazing job here, Sandra, to be able to, how much you caught in the camera, but then how much you were able to kind of edit that to just draw out enough details out of the shadows or pull back enough details of the highlights to create the balance. So, beautiful shot there, Sandra, and I'm not surprised it's one of your favourites of the year. Adrian says, yes, PE at school. So did we as well. Another one forced to do the rugby. Becca says, wow, looks like an incredible place. Andy says, that light. Marilyn says, love the light and water. April says, this is an amazing place to visit. I can see it in this shot. Nadia says, wow, the light is lovely in this image. Viji says, wow, Sandra, wish to see a place like this someday. Meg says, that's absolutely amazing and incredible. John says, very dramatic shot of the waterfall, great shot. Sandra says, thank you everyone for your lovely comments. And Adrian says, great shot for both subject and the technical difficulties. Cool, right. Okay, next up then, we are going to go to Jacqui in South Africa. And Jacqui created this one. Now, this is in fact a composite shot. And Jacqui says, this is my favourite image, my most favourite image, is this one I took at Cool Bay in the Cape, South Africa. It's a composition of two images. I took the initial image of the sea by using a long exposure, and the second of Sharifa on her own, then manipulated the two to form this composition. And so we could see then, we get that real sense of the sea, blue sky in the background, light reflecting off the sea. And what works well here is the fact that the light within that composite, that you've got the light coming from the same direction as the model. And now you said it's a composite. You took the Sharifa on her own. I'm wondering, did you take that of her in the studio, or did you take it on the beach or somewhere nearby? Certainly what works best with this, like I say, is that the lighting is coming from the same angle. Very often with composites, one of the trickiest things, where people can fall down, is when they take two different things and the lighting doesn't quite line up. And when we look at an image, we instantly recognise if the lighting doesn't quite line up. But this one works well. It looks like there's maybe a little bit of bounce light as well. So it becomes very atmospheric, and you can kind of smell the salt in the sea as well. I must admit, I think a dress kind of looks slightly seaweed-like as well. So it all kind of comes together. So fun shoot and fun composite. And I think fun playing around in Photoshop there to kind of get it right. Depending on which aspects of photography appeal to you the most, there's the taking of the photo, and then there's the playing with the editing as well, and that can be, for some people, if you, I think when you're starting out, the editing kind of feels like, I don't really know what I'm doing. The more you get into it, the more it can kind of take over somewhat, and you can kind of really have fun with it. What have we got here? So Andy says, great use of composing or compositing works really well. Marilyn says, wow, very creative. Sandra says, beautiful composite portrait. April says, I can see this photo in a magazine, very cool. Jacqui says, on the beach. Okay, so she took the photo on the beach of Sharifa, so therefore you've got the light, the mood, the feel, and the light. I will say, we just flick back here for a moment. I will say the thing about the light as well is you can take a photo in the studio, and you may feel like you can even set up the light so that they come from the same angle as the sun. But sometimes even that doesn't necessarily always work, because all down to almost like the particles in the air. You're going to have a little bit of sea spray around and what have you. So if you are planning on doing a composite photo, if you can take the different elements under as closer conditions to each other as you can, then you're always likely to be that bit more successful with it. Viji says, Jacqui, classic shot, well composed. Robert says, wow, Jacqui, I saw this on Photocrowd and was extremely impressed. You've grown up as a photographer over the past 4 years. Keep it up. Jacqui says, thank you. Becca says, yes, looks like something from a magazine fashion shoot. Right, okay. Just a little reminder then that if you happen to find these podcasts useful, interesting, entertaining, you would like to support them, then buymeacoffee.com/Kim Ayres is one of the ways you can do it. Now, something else I will, just above this Buy Me a Coffee, is Ayres, blogspot, no, yeah, Ayres.blogspot.com. That's where my blog is. And for those who don't follow me on Facebook or didn't notice it, I will just say that on my blog currently is my own post of my personal best of 2024. Each year I put up a blog post where I go back through my previous year's images and I pick out my favourites, the ones that performed well, the ones that I have a particular liking for, all that kind of thing, and with a little paragraph description with them. So if you haven't seen it and you're interested, then Ayres.blogspot.com is a place you can go and take a look at my favourites too. And you can always leave a comment there as well. Or if you go and find my pages on Facebook, you'll also find them. Right, where are we at? So next up, we're going to go to Mark. Now, Mark, I believe, is where we go, that one. Yes, I think he's a friend of John. So Mark posted this one as into the Facebook group because we have the Facebook group, Understanding Photography with Kim Ayres, and he said, hi, new member here. This is my favourite image. I went and took a quick look at Mark, and we have a mutual friend in John Harvey. So I'm assuming, John, that you've invited him across, or he's seen you posting things and he's come over. So this is Mark Collins. And Mark says, my best of 2024 was between this and a Milky Way photo. Nothing special except it was the first time to try in a foggy setting. I didn't expect much, but as is often the case, I had no idea that it would look like this. I haven't submitted it to any competition, maybe later this month at our local camera club or later next summer at the county fair. So another lovely classic idea of that mix of fog and water, which just really kind of, is just a beautiful classic combination. And it is really moody, it is really atmospheric. The colours there, the smell, the mood. I mean, I don't know whether, Mark, you're also in Ohio. Certainly this could be Scotland without a second thought. It's very similar to particular landscapes around here. Because there's no leaves on the trees, middle of winter, you've got the fantastic sort of silhouetted, all the kind of little branches coming off. And the dead bracken and all what have you. So it's a very moody, very atmospheric shot. Really kind of conjures up something. So, and if this was your first real go at having a go at doing fog photography, then no wonder you're happy with it. Yeah, I'd be happy with a photo like this for sure. So lovely entry there, Mark. Thank you for sending it in. Comments here, we have April says, I really enjoy this shot, looks like a painting. Becca says, oh, I can feel the damp in that shot. Andy says, lovely autumnal feel to this. Viji says, beautiful. Nadia says, this is my type of location, beautiful. Adrian says, seasonal, nice. And John says, great landscape shot, Mark. Right, okay, let's move on then to Marilyn. And for Marilyn, we have another hummingbird shot. Only this one is actually in flight. Now, Marilyn says, this hummingbird is my favourite photo of the year, of last year. I challenged myself to capture one, knowing how incredibly fast and hard they are to follow. Needless to say, I have a lot of unusable shots, even though they are fun to watch. On this particular summer morning, the light was harsh with a lot of shadows and contrasts. Thanks to the raw file, I was able to process this image along with the crop. It may not be the best, but I love it. Well, it's a lovely shot, this one, Marilyn. I've never tried shooting a hummingbird. I don't think we get them wild in this corner of Scotland. It's a beautiful shot. I can't remember. What was your settings? In fact, actually, let me just go and double check that a moment, because it was something. There was some thousandths of where are we? I've lost that for a moment. Ah, there we go. Yes, taken at 1600th of a second. So 1600th of a second, f8 with a 300mm lens at ISO 800 for anybody who's interested. And yes, I think it's that notion of the 1600th of a second. You've got to be so fast to try and capture something like this, and to be able to get that with the wings spread out, and again, beautiful detailing. much like John's one as well. Again, it's that extended. You're using a 300mm lens. That's even though it's f8 or whatever, it's still the background. You get nice bokeh. What's also quite nice about this as well is the diagonals that come up from the reflection on the leaves, and the whole thing is that we've got the diagonal of the bird's body and the beak. We've got the wings going in the other direction. We've got the leaves in the background, and this really adds to the dynamism. As I've talked before, the notion of diagonals adds a sense of energy and movement into an image. So yeah, beautifully done there. Nicely caught there, Marilyn. Yes, I can imagine that notion of it being essentially. What did you say? You didn't use bucket list. That's a different thing. But basically, a creative list is we it's one of these things that I think most of us sooner or later want to have a go at trying to capture. Where have we got? Viji said missed the name of the place. I don't think Mark actually mentioned where the foggy setting photo was taken. Becca says, wow, stunning capture, so delicate. Adrian says, lovely, shutter speed must have been immense. Nadia says, oh wow, stunning image. April says, very pretty, hummingbirds are so cute, good catch. Meg says, wow, that's absolutely beautiful. Sandra says, great photo. Marilyn. John says, really nice, Marilyn. I agree, many shots to get a good one. Yeah, I mean, the hit rate is going to be tiny. I know this kind of thing. There's going to be anybody who actually did take a look at my kind of favourites of the year as well. I've got a picture of a starling. No, not starling, a sparrow, sorry, with its wings spread just hovering above some grasses. And it was like the only usable photo out of hundreds that I took. Yeah, folders full of unusable images. We've all been there. Sandra says, great photo. Marilyn, oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, John said, many shots to get a good one. Robert says, hummingbirds are so difficult to capture, great shot. I got a funny feeling, Robert, do you remember you having a hummingbird shot last year at some point? Viji says, beauty, fastest shutter speed, and suspended defying gravity. Marilyn says, thanks all. Yes, lots of unusable in the folders. Right, okay, so let's move on then to Meg. This is Meg. Meg says, hi Dad, this is my best photo of 2024. Some of you may remember this one from a couple of months ago when I did the faceless photo challenge. Faceless portrait challenge. And Meg says, it was the most bonkers and funniest photo I've ever taken of myself with my scarf around my head and my glasses on top. It was taken for the Faceless Challenge and I love it so much because it made everyone laugh. And I think that's fun as well. I mean, it's very typically Meg, if you like, but she got such a great response from it. Put a smile on your face. If Meg can put a smile on your face, she will. And so this one ends up being Meg's favourite. Just quick selfie, scarf around the face, glasses on top. Yes, certainly put a smile on the face. Certainly made me laugh. Thanks very much for sending that one in, Meg. A good favourite. Becca says, such a fun shot. Sandra says, this brings a smile to my face, Meg. Andy says, this is a cracking shot. April says, so creative, Meg. Very comical. Marilyn says, so cute and creative. Adrian says, comedic and nice. John says, great, Meg, you nailed it. Robert says, adorable, Meg. And Viji says, lots of love and hugs to you. Right, okay. Well, from Meg to Viji, let's flip over to Viji's shot here, which is so beautiful, calm and serene. Viji says, hi Kim, I took this photo at a backwater spot near us. The sun was rising and two fishermen were on their boats. If we take a look in here, you can see these fishermen here beautifully silhouetted against the morning sun, just reflecting on the water there. I took a number of shots. This is my personal favourite though, as the whole expanse of the sky reflects on the water. And this is almost one of those kind of asymmetrical symmetry kind of photos. It's beautifully split. We've got the line horizon, we've got the sky reflected in the calm water. The reflection it's not an absolute split because the sun is elongated in the reflection, and of course we have the two fishermen on it as well, which again give it a sense of scale and give it a sense of place and activity, and I suppose for me is also that real kind of feeling of, I would stand there and just, well, like you, Viji, I take out my phone or my camera or whatever, take a photo and marvel in the scene. But then it's also a reminder that for these people here, this is their everyday. This is what they do for a living, and they're out on their little boats. I mean, standing. These are not big trawlers or anything like this. This is a very small boat. You stand on, do your fishing daily, and this will be regardless of the weather, whether you've got a beautiful sunny morning like this or whether it's all a bit choppy and we're chucking it down with rain or a bit miserable or whatever. So this to me is kind of just very evocative. There's a whole world exists beyond just the notion of a beautiful sunrise, which it is also a beautiful sunrise. So yeah, lovely photo, this one, Viji. I'm not surprised it's up there as one of your favourites. Sandra says, lovely sunset shot. Andy says, very atmospheric, Viji. Adrian says, very nice. Meg says, thank you, Viji, and thank you to everybody for the lovely comments. Nadia says, this is lovely, Viji. April says, very nice silhouette shot and nice reflections. Becca says, lovely silhouettes. And John says, very nice shot, Viji. Right, okay, couple more. Another 3 to go. And then I will tell you about what's coming up this month with luck. So far, was that a flicker on the computer? I'm sitting here waiting for the whole thing to crash. So far, so good. Right, okay, so let's move on then to Becca. And Becca sent in this intriguing one, which I rather like. She says, this is my best photo of 2024. I went for a walk through an abandoned graveyard, and this was the only word left on this particular gravestone. All the rest of the words carved into the sandstone sheared away over time. And this looked like it was about to join them. And I think that's just quite amazing. Yeah, she said, oh, well, I was going to repeat what she just said. I thought it was particularly poignant that this particular word was the only one that was left. And it's like memory and then no memory. And I found myself thinking of, is it Shelley, I think, wrote the Ozymandias, the poem, and can't remember the exact line, but essentially it's where the traveller comes across an inscription of Ozymandias, see my great works and remember my name forever, was the general gist of it. This statement by this all-powerful ruler, but it was from centuries before, and next to it is just desert sands with nothing to show, no empire, you can't see, you would never know he ever existed, even though at the time it was carved. It was all about that. And there's something about that as well. It's just you have just a hint of something, a trace, a smear almost of a time. Memory, but then nothing to tell you what. In memory of, we have no idea who the memory is of. And one of the problems of sandstone. Sandstone, I did a little bit of carving years ago, little bits of stone carving. And one of the great things about sandstone is it's very soft and very easy to carve into, which makes it brilliant for if you want to kind of do a lot of carving, creating intricate pictures or writings and stuff like that. However, because it's very soft, it is also very crumbly. And if you're not going, over time, it weathers far more than other forms of stone. So, yes, it does kind of feel particularly poignant and sort of plays around with emotions and nostalgia. Becca does go on to say, I like walking in old graveyards, and though I don't personally share their religious beliefs, I always say, thank you for letting me walk here while I hope your older bones have found some rest, as she leaves. And I think it's a notion of respect. Yes, I like that, Becca. You don't have to share somebody's religion or whatever to walk through the graveyard and still have a respect for what were once living people lying here, and people who had relatives who remembered them to place up a stone in that place. So yeah, intriguing, interesting photo, that, Becca. So thank you ever so much for sending that one in. Where are we? April says, nice texture. Marilyn says, so touching, great find. Sandra says, poignant. Nadia also says, poignant image. Adrian says, shows how we are but an instant in the timeline, no matter what we try to do. That's very true. And he loves the shot. Viji says, Becca, yes, poignant is the word. Great texture, broken memories yet so very special, a mystery. Becca says sandstone graveyards don't do very well in coastal areas with salty winds. This is very true. Notice that in Whitby, if you've ever been to Whitby, there's the Whitby Cathedral, or the remains of, the monastery, well, up on the hill, famous from the Dracula novels. You climb all these steps to go up to it, and there's a whole sandstone graveyard up there with many of these sandstone gravestones have been worn away to practically nothing, with just occasional word or letter left behind. So yes, sandstone and weather, places where you get much more severe weather, especially salty weather, as seasides don't help at all. Where are we? John says, Becca, this shot truly takes on a meaning that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Very thought-provoking. And Becca says, thank you so much to everyone for their kind words. Glad it resonates. Okay, excellent. Right. Next on, we come to Andy. Oh, I do love this photo, Andy. And Andy says, here's my best shot of the year. This is Jade, aka Water Dragon. Who is a professional diver and mermaid. So imagine being a professional diver and mermaid. Wow. Taken for a project on mermaids entitled A Fish Out of Water, photographing mermaids doing non-mermaid things. The brief was for the model to do something that represented their workday life, and as Jade said, she spends a lot of her time on her phone running her mermaid business, so she opted to be photographed checking her messages. I love the juxtaposition of the fantastic and the mundane in this shot. Shot on location using a mix of studio and ambient available light. And it is such a fun one. The idea of a mermaid in a diner, leaning over, checking her phone messages. It puts a huge smile on my face. I mean, full of narrative, absolutely full of story narrative. I'm deeply envious at this shoot, Andy. I think it's wonderful. You sent it. I think you sent me some photos back at the beginning of the year. I've been meaning to get back to you to ask how this project is developing. I'd love to see how this is developing. Keep me updated and informed on this one, Andy. In fact, keep all of us updated and informed. I can't believe I'd be the only one who'd be interested to know how this is going. Hugely fun shot, beautifully done, Andy. Yes. Puts a big smile on my face for sure. Thank you for sending this one in. Where are we? Sandra says, a great candid portrait. Yeah. Becca says, love this one. Such fab juxtaposition. Would love to see the rest of the images in the series. April says, this is an amusing shot. Very cool. John says, well, that is different. I like it. Adrian says, fun. Don't actually know what to say, to be honest. It just catches you by surprise. Huge fun. Meg says, that's absolutely incredible. Marilyn says, fun shot. Jacqui says, caught my eye straight away. Andy says, cheers, folks. And Viji says, other than beautiful and lovely, to learn more adjectives, every photograph today demands much more wonderful adjectives. Viji said something and then retracted it. Right. Right, okay, so now we will move on to April. And yes, congratulations to April. April sent in this beautiful photo of a butterfly. She says, my best photo has to be my monarch butterfly photo that ended up on the cover of a book. And she also sent in the picture. Here we go, you see. And how cool is that? She goes on to say, it definitely felt good to see, so on the cover of a poetry book, it definitely felt good to see a sea of my photos all over in one room, including the podium. So yeah, so at the book launch then, so there's a whole sea of these, and that's fun. That's really fun when you get your photo on the cover of a book or a magazine, and then when there's a whole pile of them together and it's just your work shown back at you. There's something really special about that. I mean, April goes on to say, it made me feel accomplished. It also validated that my work was worthy enough to be on a book. And there is something without a doubt about that sense of, actually, I'll tell you what, let's just, while I blether, let's take a look at the monarch butterfly photo. We take photos and we look at them on the screen, we edit them on the screen, we share them on our devices, on Facebook, on Instagram, on whatever other social media we might do. We email them to people. And very rarely do we ever actually tend to see our pictures printed. So on occasion when we do print one up, it feels quite almost sort of strange. We see it in a different way when it's printed. And then when it's printed actually on the cover of a book or a magazine or a CD cover or something like that, where does always feel like a major validation, because if somebody else has then decided that they feel your photo is worthy, not just to go, great photo, which is always lovely, but to actually say, I want this photo to represent the cover of my magazine, the cover of my book, my pamphlet, to advertise my band playing, whatever it is, when it gets printed in that sense, there does always feel like an extra level of validation. It does feel really good. So congratulations, April, and I love that and I'm so happy for you for that. That's a really lovely thing to happen. Comments we get. Viji says, "Oh, April." Sandra says, "Well done, April. Lovely butterfly photo." Nadia says, "Lovely, April. Well deserved." Marilyn says, "Stunning and congrats." Adrian says, "Beautiful, April. So proud that you got this one on the cover. Such a sense of achievement." Viji says, "It's always special to see our shot in print." April says, "Thank you all." Becca says, "Well done, April." John says, "Very nice, April. Well worth the publicity." And April says, "Thank you, Kim." Right, okay, so that then is where we finish off. So that then is our collection. Now, when I put out the request to send me your best images for 2024, these are the ones that people send in. And as we can see, there's been such a fantastic selection, from frog photos to hummingbird photos, landscapes to still life, self-portraits to mermaid portraits, wildlife, book covers, sport. It's a lovely collection, and hopefully then it also gives you all a little bit of inspiration. Because in amongst these photos are photos where people tried something that they'd never tried before. There are photos where people managed to capture something that they'd always wanted to capture and hadn't before. There's photos where people went to quite a lot of time and effort to really set up the image and then create something out of it. So and also then there's the images where we stumble across by accident and then recognise that there's something interesting or poignant or just rather wow, and we somehow manage to capture that and edit it in. So encompassed in these 14 images, we've got so much of the world of photography. And this world of photography, which we love, that whether we've got our DSLR, our mirrorless camera, or just our phone, that it's an entry into an art form where you can create and you can storytell, and we can pass information and mood and ideas onto other people. And we go to all the effort to create the image, and then somebody else sees it and then they interpret it. I think photography for me is a fascinating thing. Obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be a professional photographer and running these podcasts. And also it's a fascinating thing for you. Otherwise you wouldn't be spending your time sending me photos and watching these podcasts. So let's keep it going. 2025, we will come April. These podcasts will be running for 5 years. Let's keep them going. Keep the images flowing and invite your friends along, and let's see how we can grow this. So with all that in mind, what have we got coming up this month? Now, everything's kind of hanging in the air a little bit, because I still don't know whether this computer's going to crash on me. What's also happening is I'm very limited with when I'm trying to edit photos. Sometimes I'm lucky, sometimes it crashes on me again. I lose work. It's not just a case of losing the work, it's when you're trying to edit and you're aware that everything could crash on you at any moment, you're not in it as much as well. So I'm slightly uncertain as to how this is going to pan out. I've been chatting back and forth with Nadia about what she would like to do, what she wanted to do with having won the Smug Points for December. And what we've been talking about is the idea of the angle of portraiture, essentially a point of view, because when we take a photo of somebody, most of the time we tend to sort of take it at eye level. But if you take the photo from above, or you take the photo from below, or you take the photo from really close up, or you take it from further away but zoomed in, each of these can change not just the shape, but the mood and the feel and the dynamic, even with the same face and the same expression and the same background. the photo, the portrait, will have an entirely different mood and feel to it. So this is something that we're going to explore. Now, given the fact that most of you tend to hate doing portraits, I don't think I'll set a challenge for this one, but it is still an interesting one, so I will do a podcast based on that. Now, I was thinking about doing that next week. I'm not sure whether I'm going to have time to really put the images together, given the fact that the computer could crash at any moment. So that may or may not turn up next week. I'll have to make a decision by tomorrow. Also, what we will do, because there's 3 weeks left of January, I will have a feedback session at some point. Again, won't be next week while the computer's still crashing, but if I get the computer sorted out, I will then do a feedback session. So if you would like critique, feedback on one of your photos, it is the best way of learning photography, because we stick up our photos, we put them online, all our friends tell us how lovely they are, but none of our friends are actually going to turn around. Actually, do you know that if that bright patch in the corner is catching too much attention, or that bit isn't really in focus, or the balance isn't quite right, or that horizon isn't doing it for me, or whatever else. Nobody really wants to give you any positive or critique or feedback on how to help you advance your photos. Part of that is because most of your friends are not professional photographers. The other part is pure politeness. If you haven't asked for direct feedback, or even if you have, most people don't want to cause offence, because let's face it, offence is so easily caused, especially these days. And when people get offended these days, they don't just kind of have a huff at you for a couple of days and then start before they start chatting. And you, these days, you'll get likely to get blocked. And suddenly, what you thought was a helpful remark really upset somebody, and then suddenly you never see them again. So most people don't want to give you the feedback. So where can you get genuine feedback? And it's here on Understanding Photography with Kim Ayres. Send me your images and I can give you genuine feedback and help you advance your photography to the next level. So just send me your images, either email them to me, not that one, to kim@kimayres.co.uk, there we go, or put them in the Facebook group Understanding Photography with Kim Ayres, and tell me what your sticking point is, tell me what your problems are, tell me where you would like the help, as well as the help on direct feedback on your photos. If there are particular topics in editing techniques, compositional techniques, lighting techniques, any of these things, ask me. That's what I'm here for. That's what these podcasts are about. These podcasts are all to help you advance your photography. So anything you're not sure of, feel free to ask and I will do my best to help. So at some point this month, we will have a talk about a feedback session. We will also have a talk about portraits and what happens when you change the angle or the point of view of the camera. What I will also do, I think, I did some wonderful had a wonderful time doing a photo shoot with Ed and Lucy up at the Old Mill in Palnackie a little while ago, which I've never really shown. I've not done anything with the photos. I kept meaning to do something with them last year, but things didn't happen. I think I'm going to pull together that package there and show you some of those images. So we've got plenty coming up this month. Not totally sure of what order it will be in. So keep coming back, keep sending me your images, keep interacting on the Facebook page, give each other positive feedback, and we'll have a whole load of fun with that. Last comments here, we have, where are we? Well, people saying thank you to other people. John says, I really enjoyed your photos today, everyone. Andy says, we are a broad and talented church. We are indeed. And Viji says, beautiful start to the new year. And April saying, everyone have a great week. Right, okay, so yes, look forward to seeing you all next week, and not that one, that one, and have fun, take care, and a happy new year. Cheerio.